How's it going, guys, and welcome to another edition of Voice of Reason's video game review. If you haven't already caught on, this video game review will be reviewing Ubisoft's latest adventure game, Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed was released worldwide in November 2007 on both the PlayStation 3s and the Xbox 360 video game console. First things first, let's start talking about the plot. Now, the overall story within Assassin's Creed is set in September 2012, where barkeeper Desmond Miles, which you play with fairly frequently, but not as frequently as the main character, which I will be getting to soon. Desmond Miles has been kidnapped by an unknown person prior to the start of the game, and is brought to a lab where researchers are working on the so-called Animus project. Desmond was quote-unquote chosen for the project due to his relationship with his ancestor, Altair, which we already covered. Altair was a member of the Assassins during the Third Crusade of the Holy Land, which was somewhere in the 12th century. The researchers expressed interest in understanding more of how the Assassins worked back then. So pretty much throughout the whole entire game, you are actually reliving your ancestors' past as an assassin. And during the story, you assassinate 9 different individuals that are assigned to you by your boss or your head honcho or your quote-unquote master of the assassins. Now, not giving away too much information, I am going to stop there. So you guys, if you are interested after the end of this review, interested in renting it or even buying it, you guys can find out yourselves. So, now the graphics. Now the graphics themselves are pretty decent and what you have come to expect of a next-gen gaming experience. The cities are another highlight of the game. Just huge cities that are very detailed in every aspects. You just won't believe how huge these cities are, and you can pretty much move through any building, rooftop, house, anything. It's just really a massive world, and it looks so great. So with that being said, I would have to say that Assassin's Creed is one of the best looking multi-platform games in terms of graphics to date.
Uncertain future. Protect the ones you love. Work hard.
Now the controls. The controls do take some learning time to get to get acquainted with them. At first, in the first half of the game, you start out just like any normal game with very limited controls, very limited weapons, equipment, and such. So as you progress through the game, you do acquire more skills and more weapons. So the control scheme does get a little bit more difficult and a little bit more expertise per se. Though the controls are pretty standard, they are kind of shallow in a way. You are restricted to do only certain types of actions and whatnot, and even when you are jumping from rooftop to rooftop, it's a little hard to navigate through. Like if you want to jump from one rooftop to directly in front of you, one mistake in your turning, you can fall down and without grabbing anything, So maneuvering is more of a problem throughout the game. Not horribly bad, but you could tell that this would have been avoided with a little bit more attention to detail in regards to the controls. But overall, decent. When you are assigned a target to go and assassinate, the game doesn't allow you to directly go to the person and assassinate them. You're going to have to actually go to the city, look around, even find people or investigate. You pretty much are an investigator throughout the game. For instance, in order to progress into the assassination of your target, you're going to have to do certain tasks that will eventually help you in the long run. Say, like this, what you're seeing right now is you save a civilian, an innocent civilian from the bad guys, I guess. And once you kill all of them, the civilian rewards you by giving you either a group of thugs that will help you if the soldiers are following you. They'll attack them and hold them back so they won't attack you. Or sometimes you can actually get a group of scholars. Another neat idea is pickpocketing. You see a group of people, or you see two people talking, you can zoom in on them and you can actually hear their conversation, and you can tell, or you can find out what exactly they are carrying and whatnot. And after they are done, you can lock on to the guy who you are about to pickpocket and just follow him until you get close enough and you press a certain button, and you will be able to pickpocket what they were just talking about, which in the end will help you find out more information about your target. So, like I said earlier, you're pretty much a detective going through an investigation and whatnot. Now, at first, first 2 or 3 assassinations, these are pretty cool. It's pretty cool just to freely go pretty much wherever you want, and do whatever you want to do, so that it can help you out in the long run. But ultimately, after like the 5th or 6th, even the 8th assassination, it does kind of get a little repetitive. One being eavesdropping. You pretty much do what eavesdropping is. You go to a bench somewhere near a couple is talking, and you sit down and you just listen to their conversations. It not only takes the gamer, or the player that the gamer is actually playing in the game, out, but also takes you out as a gamer and just leaves you there just waiting and listening. So I thought that was kind of time consuming, and sometimes even the conversations that they were having were really boring, and they could easily take out a 5-minute conversation and condense it into like a 2 or 3 minute conversation. Another thing that kept on being repetitive was the responses of everyone that you saved or helped along the way. I don't know how many times I've heard one of the civilians tell me that, if their sons were as half as a hero they are to me, or something like that. I heard that at least 20 different times of all the civilians that I saved, and they're all different, so they're either getting the same memo throughout the whole game, or it's just on a loop in the audio, so I thought Ubisoft could have done a little bit more on the voice acting, a little bit more a more variety of phrases throughout the game. Instead, I can easily see just at least 20 sayings throughout the whole entire game. Now, I mentioned before, Assassin's Creed is on both the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Now, you're wondering, as always, which version is superior? There's always talk about, Xbox has this, PlayStation has this, and without beating around the bush or anything like that, I will say it out loud that the Xbox 360 is the best version out of the 2 versions that are available. The reasons why? One of the reasons is that the PS3 Assassin's Creed has horrible frame rate. It's just so horrible, especially in the latter parts of the game. The clipping is really annoying. And another deficiency, which is evident on both versions, is the long load times that are in the game during the game. When you put the disc in your Xbox or PS3 and you start it, you're not going to start playing for another 5 minutes. And sometimes, I know one of my online friends, Kratos007, said that one of the reasons why he doesn't really play Assassin's Creed anymore is because of the lengthy load times that are present within the game. And I can see why. After a good 20 hours, they do tend to get a little bit annoying and a little bit frustrating. Now, I know what you're thinking. There was more bad than good, but don't let that discourage you from either buying this game or renting this game. Assassin's Creed is still a pretty decent game. It's not bad and it's not great, but it's in between, a little bit above average. Visually, it's great. One of the best looking games that is on both the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. But if you're willing to deal with all the little deficiencies, little problems that I already talked about before, then by all means go, rent it, buy it, you'll have fun, hopefully. This has been another edition of Voice of Reason's Game Review. Until next time, guys, take care.